Hello everybody, it's me, Carley Rickles, here today to teach you how to make a simple cardboard book. Not too different from this one right here. It is made from one piece of cardboard with a cutout hinge as the binder. It's made out of tape and paper. There's a lot of add-ins I'll talk about you can do. You can add a book inside a book. You can use tape to add to the aesthetic quality. You can refine it and make it a little bit nicer, whatever kind of your style is. You can use whatever paper you want. This one has a vellum graph paper, which is one of my favorite kinds of paper, if I can find it. And it's just a sturdy little book that is pretty indestructible for normal use. Probably can't like go into a saw situation and probably rip, but in terms of like everyday putting it in your bag, carrying it on your arm, whatever, it's pretty good. So if another way that I like to make books, just to compare, is you can make, if you are interested in bookmaking, you can invest in a long arm stapler. They're not too bad. I can't remember how much it costs, but it's not like more than it should be, but it's a little bit of an investment, takes a little bit more space, and that's if you never want to buy a sketchbook again, but you know what kind of paper you like, and you can really customize your sketchbook or your notebook for school or whatever. And that's just taking 8.5 by 11 paper, I think up to, this goes even bigger than that, and then you're just folding your pages in half, and then you're putting it in the stapler, and that way you don't have to bend your pages, and it'll just go. And then you can have a million books that way. But today we're doing a cardboard book, and so I'm just gonna, have this around for us to look at, but I'll put it up here. And the materials that you need are gonna be some kind of straight edge, preferably a metal one. That's the sturdiest one, and that's gonna go, that's gonna be your straight point, kind of like a T-square or something for drafting that you're going to be using your X-Acto against. So you're going to need an X-Acto knife. I usually, this one my mom gave me when after she went back to school, careful with these, for interior design, when I was in like middle school, and she had all these cool supplies, and she didn't end up doing that or finish it, but she did give me a lot of her materials, and so I have this special X-Acto knife that I don't let anybody borrow. That is from my mom. And then I usually like to keep around, like I'm always buying these X-Acto blades because I just never want to be in a situation where I'm out of blades and I can't cut what I need. So I just have a lot of these sitting around. You can wear, it makes such a big difference if the blade is sharp or not. So I try to keep these with me. We also need preferably some kind of cutting surface. This is like an X-Acto mat board, but you could also use another piece of cardboard, or if you have a concrete floor or a cutting board, you could use something like that if you don't have one of these. You could also use scissors if you don't have an X-Acto blade or a cutting mat. Scissors are fine. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife and let you figure out how to do it with scissors if you don't have this, but it's just cutting, so you got it. I have a couple different kinds of tape on hand because a lot of times when I make a book, I know that I'm going to make a book, but I don't. Pretty much every time I do it, it comes out a little bit different. I have a new idea, and so I just really am into good tape, and I like to have my options at my fingertips, so if I get a new idea, I can just act on it instead of just think about it. So I have two kinds of tape out, a skinny one and a big one, and they're both really sturdy. I have a bone binder, which is another thing you can find at any kind of like arts and crafts store. And if you don't have this, you could also use, you just need like a sturdy flat surface. This is going to be for making really crisp fold on your pages. You could also use like the end of a butter knife, or you could probably use your straight edge, or you can use your finger. I am just all about this tool. It is so satisfying to be able to get a really nice crisp fold. And so I'm all about the bone binder. Otherwise, we have our cardboard right here. Mine is just from an old cardboard box. It's got no particular shape to it right now, but we're going to make that. And then I also have an assortment of paper. I think I said you need like 3 to 8 sheets. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a small one, 6. And some of these are new sheets of paper. I've got some of my like micro graph paper. It's just a preference. You can use whatever you want. I also have this black paper because I just thought it would be fun to have a variation. I have this isometric graph paper, which I really like, and it looks like I started something on it and I didn't finish. So I'm just going to use that. One side is different than the other. That's kind of fun. I also found this scrap piece of old paper from a zine I made a while ago that I thought would be fun to include. So I'm going to include that. And then I have a small piece of paper because I just think it's fun to flip through and have different page sizes. It kind of triggers different ideas of what you might make. And so I've included that too. So, first step. Put all your sheets together in whatever order you want. It looks like I've got some different sizes here. How do I feel about that? I might not include this black one because it's a little bit bigger, or I could cut it down. I want it to be, I think today I want to have clean edges. So I think I'm going to include it, but I'm probably going to cut it down. And then I'm going to break up some of these other papers so we have a nice variation in our stack. And then I'm going to put this little piece of paper in the middle. Actually, no, I'm going to put it somewhere in the middle. But basically you want you want to stack your paper a couple times like this to get some good clean edges. Doesn't have to be perfect yet, but that's where we're going. Actually, I might go ahead and just cut down this sheet of paper. So if you need to do that, if any of your paper, it's up to you. They could be all different sizes, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut it down. So I'm just gonna get one corner, kind of stack them like this so our edges are clean, and I'm going to take my straight edge and line it up as closely as possible to the edge so that I can just barely, probably not even see the gray piece of paper. Take my X-Acto knife, make sure it's tight, and go ahead and cut it. I like to kind of, once I get halfway, make sure that the weight on my fingers is still equal all the way down on your straight edge, and then I usually just don't trust that it's going to go all the way, and so I do it again until it kind of comes off. There's a balance between overusing and underusing your X-Acto. I like to be better safe than sorry, but sometimes you don't have that many around, so you really want to get the most use out of them. And then I'm just going to do this again on this other edge just to kind of make things a little bit smoother, because that's the look I'm going for today for whatever reason. Okay, check it down at the bottom, see if it's loose. Okay, we got a little bit attached up here. Make sure my pressure is equal, my fingers are not in the way. Definitely don't want to cut yourself with one of these. That's like pretty painful. Alright, so now I've got my equal sheets of paper. If you have any frills, you can kind of just do that. Now I'm going to reorganize my papers together. Get them how I want, not think too much about it, stack them. Alright, where we at? And then I'm going to put this sheet of paper, my smaller one, in the middle because I like to have a little surprise. I've actually just decided that I want this page to stay as one. So I'm going to put it, whatever the piece is on top, that's going to be like your center fold. So you're going to have a full spread of that. Alright, so my pages are all aligned. The one in the middle, since it's smaller, I just kind of wanted to make sure it was somewhere around the center, because it's not going to reach either edge, and so I can kind of have like an even spread on either side. Make sure my edges are aligned, and now I'm going to fold it in half. So when you do that, I like to kind of like hold on to the edges so I don't get it my papers don't move too much, like this. And then you're gonna just go ahead and fold it over kind of softly. Don't need to press that edge yet. Make sure, I kind of like to tuck either side, make sure my pages are in. They're not out of whack. And then you're gonna have a little bit of this kind of like fold over, like you can see the white paper coming through. It's kind of just the nature of what kind of paper you're using. And it's not a big deal. So you can either cut that down if you're a perfectionist, or you can accept it if you want to. And now I'm going to take my wonderful bone binder, or a butter knife, or a straight edge, and you can really use either side. I don't have a lot of rhyme or reason for why I use one side or the other, but right now I'm using this side, and then I kind of just start to push down, and you can kind of go like this, which is really nice, and you just pull it toward you, and your edge just starts to become this really beautiful edge. This will get it a little bit sharper, I guess. And it's just so nice. So you get this really, like, you can't even see this piece of paper. It's gone. So I might do that on both sides. And now, it's a little bit tricky because usually I would staple it at this point to kind of keep things tight, and not flying around, but now we're just going to be a little bit more careful as to not shake this up. So now it's time to make our cardboard book cover. And I would suggest grabbing a pencil, which I have right here, luckily. So, if your cardboard has a straight edge to it, which mine does not, because I think I tore this, then I would start on the straight edge so you don't have to make that cut again. And what I mean by that is, like, say that this edge was a straight edge, I would consider this one of my book edges. But since it's not the case, I'm going to cut the book all around. So what you want to do is very carefully open up one of your book pages, and you just want to kind of take the pencil and outline. You don't have to go all the way around, but just kind of give yourself some guides for when you're cutting. You could do it like this, you could outline the whole thing, it's just kind of up to you. And then I like to give, and then also mark like just outside of where the center is. So this is my center. I'm going to mark like less than a quarter, like an 1/8 inch to either side, so you get this kind of 1/4 inch space. Same over here. And that's going to be where our, that center fold is. So we're marking basically like here and here. I generally like to, if you just cut out the outline, you're going to get your paper is going to come out the edge, like on this one. I didn't get it quite perfect. If you want, you can add a little bit, maybe take on the outside, like maybe take your straight edge, line it up, and then push it over a tiny bit, and then draw that. And then you could, if you want to be exact, you can measure that. That's not the mood I'm in today. And I like work. You also could work at your desk, but I just like working on the floor. And then you're going to do that on your other side. Just go out a little bit. And I'd suggest doing that on the top and bottom too.